morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Morning Coffee. I got my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go, because we have to talk about some very important and interesting stuff. Today we are going to talk about the macro situation and what is leading to this little trickling in the red candles. Why I think we are still very, very bullish on our way. We're going to look into the charts. We're going to look what has changed from last week to this week. And we're going to talk about Ecomi and Veve. Ecomi Assassin's Creed speculation, or Veve Assassin's Creed speculation, and the Ecomi price action. But all of that right after the intro. Okay, first of all, that was the wrong screen. Good morning to all of you, and we have some people in the house already. So we have Bobby Green here, patient hodler, we love you, lol. Thank you very much. I love all of you as well. That is very clear. And make sure to smash up the like button to get the stream out here a little bit to other people. Then also make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and tick the little bell to always get notified whenever I upload a video. And Trucking Hank is also here. Good morning to you. Good to see you. By the way, the camera needs a little bit more fixing. So, and as always, thank you to all the rare hodlers here around me. There is a ton of them. Thanks for supporting this stream, these crypto morning coffees every morning, or almost every morning, I should say. And whatever content is coming out here on the channel, that is all sponsored by you. So this time is for you. We are not taking any shitty deals. And if you want to be one of those, it is completely sufficient to become a channel member to this YouTube channel. But with that out of the way, let's get finally started. So, Bitcoin, and maybe, let's look first of all at what is happening in the lower time frames. If it lets me. I'm always, before the stream, I'm always looking around a little bit, what is new, especially after a night, right? You don't know if things are still the same as where you've left off. So here we are in the weekly, but let's go down to the daily. Okay, so you remember from the last streams, I think it's almost a week now, or even more, that we have drawn this into this picture. But I want to first of all talk about the broader structure that we have here, and that is a bullish one. Yeah. So even that, though we are low here, we are falling since over a week. We have a bull flag here, right? And as long as this is not broken to the downside in our worst case scenario, this bull flag is valid. So we can extend the line a little bit more, and then so there is still room to stay in the bull flag and still go lower, about 2.5% more room. And then we will see what is going to happen, right? This can stretch out over 2 to 3 days, no worries. And still it would be a bull flag, and our bull flag target is from the flag pole, so to say, up to here, round about 100,000. So we intentionally put our target from the bull flag onto just below 100,000, because as some people in the chat in the last streams pointed out correctly, the psychological mark is very high at 100,000. Now, if we were to lose this bull flag to the downside, then we would see a target with not much resistance of 52,497, which is just on top of this previous overhead resistance. So these are the two targets. And what is going on right now? Well, we are getting red candles. Basically this is the fourth in a row today. Even on the weekend, we lost a couple of percent basically, and there is a reason for that. This going up did not reach the peak line, or not reach the top line. There is a reason for that, and the reason is this. So let's talk a little bit about macro and then go into some analysis, some charts. And by the way, Patrick Bultman, good morning to you. Also, Rare Hodler Felipe is also here. Good morning to you. Also, Rare Hodler. So, all the Rare Hodlers in the house, or a lot of them, not all of them. So what we're seeing, and I'm going to outline the dilemma here once again, right? So all the data so far is showing inflation is not going away and is making things tough on the Fed. And the toughness on the Fed is very easy to explain, because basically the Fed is stuck in a place where you can basically not do your job. And they have brought themselves there in the years before. So it's not like, oh my God, they are victims of someone else's actions or so. But in any way, the Fed has to keep the rates high for longer as inflation is coming up once again. And at the same time, they want to cut the rates because their own debt, or the US government's debt, so to say, if you want to separate them, is so high that if you keep your rates high, you're not only wrecking everyone else who is in debt or has credits, but you're also wrecking yourself. So the higher the higher the inflation rate stays, the longer they will have to keep the interest rate up, and the longer their own debt will grow on a faster basis. So yeah, exactly. So food and gasoline keeps rising here in Canada. I think that's Canada, right? And that is exactly the point. The Fed and the US is only a mirror of what is happening in the entire world. And I think that is where major, like the news and many other people are fooling others and themselves, is when we're talking about inflation. Because I've even listened to like in the German radio finance part, people were like, the experts were like, oh, inflation is going down, so prices are going down. And that's complete bullshit. I don't know why they are doing this. I'm pretty sure they should know that this is not the case. It's like, take something that costs $10 and the inflation is, let's say, 10% in that, for math's sake, right? Then after that year, that same article costs $11 now. So let's say the inflation stays at 10%. Now it will not increase by $1, it will be increased by $1.10. So actually the same inflation, like if you say, oh, inflation was the same, in people's minds it's like, oh, my prices are going to stay the same, but in fact they did increase more than in the year before where it was painful. So then they're saying, oh, inflation came down by 3% and is now 7%. Well, you still get another 70 something cents on top of your prices. So it just means that prices are not increasing as high anymore as when the inflation was the same, or when inflation is going higher, right? But prices are not coming down just because inflation comes down. That would be deflation, and that is what the Fed will fear even more than inflation. They want inflation. So maybe a little bit more of the rent here, because actually, if you would see it from a global perspective of evolution, you have technology of the internet, you have blockchain, you have AI, you have new construction mechanics, you have easier, faster, cheaper ways to produce food and so on. So you should say, from a technological perspective, everything should become cheaper over time for mankind, right? Everything should be cheaper because you have a new production technique and you have new competition, so companies will outcompete themselves, and everything should become cheaper because of technological advancements. But in fact, because of our debt-based system and inflation, everything is going higher in nominal prices. And the target of the Fed is not zero price increase. They want a 2% inflation, a constant 2% inflation, so that everything on a constant basis is just getting 2% more expensive every year, which means that if you're earning a salary, that you have to have a 2% raise every year just to maintain the same level, right, of purchasing power and so on. Right now, where you have a official core inflation of 3 point something percent and a hidden inflation, I would say that is way higher. I mean, everyone who just does the math on their purchases now between a couple of years ago and now between last year can make the calculation that there is not just a 3%er. You have to get a nice raise to be able to afford the same, or to even afford more and have the feeling, oh no, everything, we are growing, right? So yeah, that is the point. But now we have basically the situation where we are coming closer to something in the system breaking, and the Fed is extremely nervous because they know if something in the system breaks, they have to step in with a big fat stimulus, but they cannot put a big fat stimulus on top of rising inflation. So that is basically the point. And if we're looking in this article, in the numbers, we see basically here spending outpaced income in March, as it has in 3 of the past 4 months, while the personal savings rate plunged to 3.2%. So they're basically saying just spending a lot of money is creating demand. It's creating stimulus. With unemployment under 4%, it shouldn't be that surprising that prices aren't going down. So spending numbers aren't going down anytime soon. So you have a sticky inflation scenario for the rest of the year probably. So we are going to linger in this. That doesn't mean that crypto cannot grow anymore, right? But it says that we will probably not see any rate cuts as long as nothing is completely breaking. So we saw already that private credit card bubbles are breaking. Yeah. So, and here we see basically the higher for longer. The US government itself needs lower interest rates more than anyone. Over the next year, a record of 8.9 trillion of US federal debt will mature and need to be refinanced at much higher rates. So that means it's not only what you put on top in debt, it's also that debt that is at the moment fixed at low interest rates needs to be refinanced at higher interest rates. And that is something that not only the US government has, but also people across the world will face, because every month and every year there will be people that are coming out of for example, a fixed housing credit that was fixed near 0%, and now they will have to refinance the rest of it, what they didn't pay off, at a higher interest rate, which will put pressure on them. And these are delayed factors, right? You already have this these high interest rates, but not yet everyone is feeling them, because they had fixed fixed loans, so to say, or fixed interest rate on loans. So US debt service costs before the Fed start raising rates were roughly 1.5% of GDP. Now the US is paying 3.1% of GDP in debt service costs as interest rates have risen. Now this is doubled basically from 1.5 to 3.1. That is more than double. By 2034, US debt is expected to cross above staggering $50 trillion. Okay, so that obviously we will see if it's not even way more because of money printing and so on. So I think that prediction is too far out to know if we even get there. Who is going to pay all of the interest expense on this debt? Yes, exactly. So if the interest expense is that rampant, someone has to basically earn this money, or someone has to print this money, and then it will go out of the pocket of the people that have to pay higher prices because of inflation. Okay, let's go back to crypto and where we are headed. So I'm still saying this is that we're overall in a bullish phase, and that is because these negative news are not so negative for Bitcoin. We saw that in the Bitcoin bottom, that on banking crashes, basically the Bitcoin price reacted in a positive way after the Bitcoin bottom, as people were going on a flight to safety, so to say. This flight to safety will continue if this situation in the US and all across the world is also going to continue, in my opinion. So, what are we seeing right now? In the 2015 cycle, and I can put the chat back here now. In the 2015 cycle and 2017 cycle, Bitcoin peaked 518 days after the halving. So this is basically what's outlined here. So you have basically the green boxes are the measurements the arrow is the measurement from the bottom to the peak, and we see that the divergence, or what is different, is that it's only like a 30-day or so between these two cycles. And if we were going on a normal cycle performance and realign in this readjustment of the cycle, then we would be peaking somewhere in September or October of 2025. So that would be more than a year out for a peak, right? Okay, so that would be if everything goes according to plan. There is, though, something interesting in terms of the pi cycle indicator that I want to show to you. And for that, I have to put the chat a little bit more on the side. So here we see that with moving averages and the pi cycle tops. So pi cycle top indicator was very right most of the time. It did, though, create a top here where I would say it was kind of the real top, where we had a little bit of an inflation-driven top that outperformed this top before, and therefore the pi cycle indicator was slightly off, right? But actually, had you sold here, you would have been almost as if you had sold the top then later. Okay, so Bitcoin continues to consolidate from late stage pi cycle top retest, and that is basically here, this arrow, where the price action comes back to the previous pi cycle, tests it, and comes back down. That is basically the retest is basically what happened also here, right? You see this in the previous cycle, and has a little bit of a dip, and then also what happened here very early in the 2017 cycle, or 2016-17 cycle. And we see also here we hit our head, retest, and then the big run starts, where you are seeing a parabolic move. And then there are two more late stage retests, So sorry, this was the mid-top retest. I'm sorry. This is the stage where we are, where the pi cycle top retests are happening, and then the parabolic move. So what we don't have is this mid-top retest, apparently. We don't see it here in this cycle. We just stood under it. So no indicator was more accurate than this one for calling the top in the last cycle. And basically, we are deducting from this indicator that we are still at this stage of the cycle where we're basically pre-parabolic, right? That is what we're deducting at the moment from this indicator. So the first retest of the 350 DMA is usually our mid-top retest this year. But with our accelerated price action, we look to have jumped straight to the late stage retest, which comes before entering the cycle top run. So completely normal price action according to pi cycle top. However, a little bit more of a, like confirming that we have a little bit more of a run up than we usually had. Yo, Big PH, yo, Jordan, what is going on? Good to see you. Will you do around the Ecomi verse today, Jordan? Yeah, so nothing to worry about from this perspective, and nothing to worry about from this perspective, as we saw before, for timing wise, that we should go into 2025 with our top. Okay, then maybe also psychology as another indicator. The what ifs of this phase, right? What if we are now, and basically what is taken out here is somewhat of a drawing of this Wall Street cheat sheet emotional cycle. What if we are just in the optimism phase? And I think that is very true, right? So if we're analyzing market sentiment right now, and I'm not talking about Ecomi and Veve market sentiment, because that is a whole nother story. Or I'm not talking about slow altcoin sentiment right now. I'm talking about crypto in general. I'm talking about Bitcoin. So this is the Bitcoin price action. And I would say that the phases are very outlined. I mean, I would say that the bear market phases, as I remember them, actually were a little bit, they were not like this. Because if you remember when we had this, that was the whole thing from here until down here was basically the panic phase together with the capitulation phase. There was, or maybe this is the capitulation phase, yes, but this was all panic. I remember that these drawdowns, they were just complete panic with Terra Luna imploding, if you remember, right? Terra Luna imploded, and then all the exchanges went away and people lost their funds, and there were even tragedies like people committing suicide because they lost everything and so on. So this was a complete panic phase. And then actually this was the anger phase, and here I think the bottom was already depression. But anyways, this would be just a slight shift. Now, it is true that we had in all of this phase a huge disbelief. There were a lot of bears that were still calling for a lower high here and then a continuation to the downside, which didn't happen. And then we entered the hope phase with the ETFs. That was basically the driver from all the way this big pump that we just saw, more than 100%. So are we feeling that we are, just from a subjective, and this is also a question for you, are we feeling that we are in the optimism phase or that we are in the belief phase? And I would say we are, in fact, and I think Max is right here, so the trader that puts this out, I think we are still in the optimism phase, where a bigger chunk of crypto investors is optimistic, but it's not a complete clear-cut belief phase. Because if you look at the data that we just saw, like with inflation, and then we have the turmoil in the world with the wars that are going on, and we have like consumers not being so well, people are like more, hey, I put money into crypto because I'm optimistic that something good is coming. And I think that's really where the phase is. And we will see what exactly will drive a complete belief phase that we are going to super big highs, but we don't see it yet, and we don't see it yet with much enforcement from retail. So I would say that is yet to come. And then the thrill phase, and then the euphoria where we have complete degeneracy. I think that is what is going to spread out now. And if you see the timeline on the bottom here, you cannot really see it. Just here behind my video, there is 2025, which would be here already, right? Which would in fact put the top into an earlier 2025 to mid 2025, and then it's over. I would say that is about what we can expect from everything that we have looked at, which would also say we are a little bit left translated, and we would top out earlier than it is usual. Um, Jordan says you should have got Chuck PH 130% up from last days. Yeah, true. I should have gotten a lot of coins. I mean, you cannot have everything, and I am not a meme coin investor, which means that I left probably some money on the table, and I'm very happy for everyone that is making money right now. Just keep in mind that with Chuck, as with everything else, it's the same story. You are in a battle royale. You are on a battleground where you're completely alone, player versus player, everyone versus everyone's, like Hunger Games, or what was the other movie? There was a movie that was like where the condemned, where they put like the prisoners on this island to kill each other, and the last one gets the freedom. That's in every coin, in every crypto, it is like that, right? And the question is just when who is going to hold the bag in the end, and who is going to walk away with the money. That is the only question that you have. And I would say Bitcoin is a little bit of a separate story if you put a longer time frame, but it's not the same for altcoins, because you cannot expect them to hold the same narratives and values as Bitcoin for a long time. Maybe Ethereum, maybe I would say there are a couple of altcoins that can do this, that can pull this off, like Chainlink, for example, but not many. And the rest is PvP to get out before someone else gets out and dumps on you. And then this will mark your returns. And I'm not saying that this is a game of seconds, but it's definitely a game of sentiments, because it's most difficult to sell when there's only euphoria in the market. And it is and also if there's euphoria in the market and you are not at your target. So let's say you want your whole portfolio to go to financial freedom, and then it's only halfway there when there is basically the top. It's way more difficult to sell than if you have already reached your targets, right? So I would say that this is where we need to be very careful here. And this is also where we're going to for sure miss the top. We are going to miss the top. This is guaranteed. We're not going to sell the top, but we want to come very close. We want to come close, and we don't want to be bag holders. Yeah. And I think this is where I'm going to completely open share with you once we're getting in those phases, when I'm going to sell something. And I will also analyze completely how much profit I missed in the sale and how much I made in a sale. And so let's do a huge bull market case study with patient hodlers, cryptos. We can do that. But for now, I think we're not there yet. So I'm not going to sell stuff yet. But there will certainly come the time where I will take some chips off the table. So yes, that is basically where you have to counter check your targets and your reality, and you cannot move your targets in accordance to the ongoing of the bull run. So if you said, for example, you bought a coin at 1.5 cents, and you're like, oh, I want to have this go to like the target is 30 cents, which would be a 20x. You cannot then, when it goes to 3 cents and doubled, you cannot say, oh, I think it's going to go to 60 cents, right? You cannot say, oh, that would be wonderful. You cannot move your targets up just because it doubled, right? Because then you will run into the same problem as many people ran into in the last bull run, where Ecomi is at 1 cent and people calling it for 5 cents or so. And that's already the top, right? Andrew says, I wasn't into memes, but I've realized that they're probably the only category where there isn't an estimate of how high they can go, because they're purely based on sentiment and community. I would say meme coins are probably the most honest coins of all coins that are out there, except Bitcoin, because everyone knows from the start what is going on. Everyone knows that it's a pure narrative. There is nothing behind it, and that it's only about who is going to take profits and who's going to hold the bags forever, right? I mean, you have to see. There is no institution, like there's no Chuck institution that's going to buy back the Chuck in the end so that everyone is happy with their investments, right? There is going to be people that will have Chuck forever in their wallet one day. There's going to be people that have Chuck in their wallet that they bought for $1,000 that is worth nothing. That is the game that you signed up for. Uh, Big A says memes are proof of community coins. Just bought 10,000 more COG an hour ago. Yeah, exactly. It's the same for COG, right? But they can change your life forever in both ways, right? So I mean proper risk management. I think in meme coins it's most critical, like in every other coin, that you have a target where you want to go out and that this target is realistic, achievable, and when you reach it, that you go out at least with a part of your money. Andrew says, but they are still only a small part of my portfolio. That is the other part. Putting money on the line with altcoins in general, not only meme coins, is just how much can you lose, and how much. For example, for me, my portfolio will not do 100x just because Bitcoin is just a bigger portion. But my portfolio is kind of, it's easier to cope with everything that is going on, so to say, to deal with, because Bitcoin is carrying the losses. So for example, I mean, if you have a bigger portion like me, like around 10% of your portfolio in Ecomi, and you're down still 67% or so right now, then it's pretty good to have Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is making up for everything, right? Yeah. Energy says, what, no 100x? The 100x needs to come on the Veve and Ecomi side, right? I mean, if it goes well, then it has to come on that side. But I'm very happy that Bitcoin is outperforming these losses, so to say. And that's exactly why I have this bigger portion of Bitcoin in there. And then obviously I have coins that are performing really well, and hopefully are going to perform good in the end. It's not, I mean, probably at the moment, having Ecomi in the portfolio is really making the difference between being in profit and not, for many people. Many people that are watching these streams, right? So here's another thing, and this is also interesting. While Bitcoin is in this bull flag, actually the altcoins did not do so bad. So if you're looking at the Bitcoin dominance here, actually Bitcoin dominance came all the way down to retest this resistance, or this support here right now. So if we bounce, I would argue we already bounced here, and maybe this is where we in a couple of days, maybe next week or so, we are going to start to see more green again in Bitcoin. I think we will see Bitcoin dominance going up again. Then you see NFT Hero says, you still hold Epico, Jordan? Who knows? Maybe we will see. I think he does. Sorry. Sorry about that. And Big A says, easier after a few bull runs, when 10% still 6 figures, profit makes it easy mode. Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, if you have bought Ecomi in the early investment, like in the seed rounds, you're still up like 20% or so. Then it's not 20x, sorry, not 20%. Then you are up 20x. But overall, yeah, we want to see more. Thank you, NFT Hero. Thank you, Andrew, also. Okay, so here let's look at the altcoins also, and then move to Ecomi and Veve. So I'm still amazed on how, I mean, we are in next weekly candle right now, and this will play out for another 6 days. But I'm still amazed how good this looks, like how good this plays out. And if you say, okay, we really have a thing here, right, with the movement of our altcoin bull market right now. So this is the entire altcoin market cap except Ethereum, and Bitcoin is not in here, and the stablecoins are not in here. So I would say we are on track. I would still say because you see barely behind here, you see the wick of this to retest down on this resistance line, which we exactly had in the other run as well. So if you look here, we have this overhead resistance flip into support, and then boom, we go, right? So this is, I would still argue we are here in this phase of the bull run, and we just had this test down, maybe not fully, maybe we need to come down still more until this phase in market cap, but that would mean that we would lose another 100 billion. That would be crazy, but we are still red. And the longer, as I said before, the longer our consolidation takes, the better, the more resynced we would be with our crypto in general, with our bull run. So if this all holds true, we should be starting to rally in the next couple of weeks. We should be starting to rally hard with crypto in general in the next couple of weeks already, if this is true. If we even consolidate longer, then we have more than a month of sideways action still in front of us. It doesn't look like it, but every bar, every candle here is a week. So we are basically in this week, and then 1, 2, 3, about 3 weeks if we would be completely synced. I think we are already resyncing, because here we were off like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and now we are at maximum off. If we would pump right now, we would be off only 2 to 3 weeks. So I think there is a resync going on. But yeah, we will see. We will see if we come back up right now. It will be a little bit uncertain, and I mean, if you look, indicators are looking different and so on. Okay, let's go to Ecomi, our favorite coin, right? I mean, if you look into your portfolio, you probably hate Ecomi right now, but it's exactly as we predicted. I mean, we predicted this year when we lost support that we are going to go down into this accumulation range. We also know that again, I'm saying it always to just give credit, right? I mean, who predicted this way of Ecomi price action was John's Cryptotherapy, a whale, Ecomi whale with billions of Ecomi. And he also predicted that we would go back into this range where there's so much liquidity, and to fulfill his whole prediction and to fulfill our prediction as well, we would have to collapse down here to this whale, so to say, at least in a wick that goes somewhere into this open area. Yeah, we don't know if it will be here or here, but arguably we know that John's Cryptotherapy placed his buy orders at 00051 and expects price action to go there, which could mean that we would see another really, really nasty weeks for Ecomi, right? Patrick asks, MCATE is down a lot. Do you DCA MCATE or hold the bag you have right now? I'm holding the bag that I have right now, but if it looks juicy enough, I might buy some more. But at the moment, I have to manage a little bit with all of that. I would love to DCA into a couple of things like Chappies and MCATE, but I have a bigger journey in front of me, like traveling in front of me in a month, where I need some funds for, and I have to do a couple of things like in private life that consumes money, so I have to be a little bit careful here. I cannot overextend even though the prices look juicy. I mean, even Ecomi looks juicy right now, from a standpoint of, if you still believe there is OMI to NFT coming and the narrative coming back. I'm always saying this as a disclaimer, because there are people that are like beyond everything and do not want to know about Ecomi anymore. I would say that here is a nice area to grab more if you don't have enough. Yeah. Did you participate in the Symbiote Mighties? No, I did not. I did not. I have one of these Mighties from a drop where I participated, but I'm not personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Mighties, and I think that the Symbiote crafting in general is very expensive. If you really want to do everything and go to the final craft, because that final craft will cost $50 or 60, 50 or 60, and you already have to spend 4 times 15 plus 4 times this Venom, so you're ending up with $190 or so, $150 if you want to get one of these end crafts, right? I think if you want to get one of these, I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2, but yeah. Andrew says, I will buy a little more OMI if we hit below 00055. Okay, that would be here in the middle line. Yeah, if then if you want to pick that up, you see how it went here. This could be a quick wick that takes not much time, so you might want to place an order for that is already sitting there. You might want to put it somewhere in this zone so that you can guarantee that when you have a flash crash at night or something like that, that you get your OMI, if you want to get OMI. So then let's look at Ecomi and maybe at Veve, and then yeah. So we have this little teaser here. I'm not going to play it with. Actually, the idea was not to play it with sound exactly. So from the font of this teaser, we already know what it is, right? So it's a Ubisoft game. They put the swords in the title, so we are looking at Assassin's Creed here for as a teaser. So together with Ubisoft, there will be Assassin's Creed collectibles that are coming for Veve. I think that's great, but you have to keep in mind that Ubisoft already launched these NFT 3D print whatever thingies with Integral Reality Labs. So this was last year, and not many people noted it, but we covered it here actually on this channel. So they basically have Ubisoft's launching Assassin's Creed Smart Collectible created in partnership with Integral Reality Labs. The new NFTs come with access to a 3D printed collectible. Upon purchasing a Digital Soul NFT, users can customize and redeem 3D printed Assassin's games. So even though there are already Assassin's Creed NFTs, these are user-made, customized NFTs, and I swear to you, no one cares about this because people want something that is released from the brand in the way that it is collectible. And if Marvel would come out and say, oh yeah, here you got a Spider-Man dummy and you can just paint it whatever you want and then mint an NFT out of that, that's probably not going to be valuable because neither the artist nor the brand really released that. You designed it on your own, and then you did a one-of-one blockchain-based 3D print with NFT. So like it is here. So I would say, even though this is not like the first ever Assassin's Creed NFT that exists, it's still cool that Veve gets to release Assassin's Creed stuff. and especially stuff that is oriented more on the gaming side, because we know that gaming is pretty hot in crypto, and maybe these things will catch a little bit more attention and traction to Vivi. Uh, Andrew says, I can't do buy orders living in the US. If I get some, I get some. Otherwise, I'm not worried. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so you are going to probably then use the Coinbase wallet, like the Coinbase wallet swap, or how do you do this in the US? Yeah. Anyways, and then we have a little bit of Mr. Falcon Vivi news. And I think this is great here. So they launched this inside look, Evermind, 24/7 comics, Swaggle House, and so on. So they all came together for a talk. Apparently, I didn't watch it yet, but it did premiere. I think, or I don't know. Did it already roll the premiere? Meet the minds behind. I think they said here premiere is going live in 5 minutes. Yeah, so since 5 hours, this talk is out, right? So it could be cool. I will watch it definitely. There's also Corey and Diana in there, Vivi staff. So that could be interesting to watch as well. I will definitely watch it later today when I find the time. Then the symbiote crafting, I actually didn't know exactly, but it seems that there were some confusions about like purchase limits on the Venom, even though it said that it would be unlimited. Um, but they are now craftable. Um, yeah, and yeah, NFT Hero says it was a bit boring. Yeah, I think they need to have some more like animation and stuff like it. But I like the idea in general of having crafting events, right? So that you somehow have kind of a quest or so going on. So that is definitely going on here for Vivi. And Vivi is back to launching comics during the week as well on the app. So not only is there the Vivi Comics app, but the Vivi Comics site, but also on the Vivi Comics we can actually look at KCBMW. So this guy, I really like this, so I'm supporting this here a little bit. He's always putting out the newest drop calendar so that you don't have to look at the like look it up for yourself. And what we see here is that we have 3 comics in a row. Apparently we are getting now 3 comics in a row, and the comics on the Marvel. Actually, I don't know if there is on the 1st of May, if there will be one, because he didn't put the green heart. Maybe it's not announced just yet. But and then we're getting another music label from, what was that? Was it Ron English? Something like that. Yeah, so we're getting that. Another X-Men comic. Yeah. So there is stuff going on, but I think if you look through this, I mean, Wolverine and the Black Suit, they were like the biggest drops that were coming out. But other than that, it's like, if you look at the sequence, to me it looks that Vivi is trying to just bring stuff out that is cool enough to bridge the time until attention, right? So I mean, still we're getting Lamborghinis, which are important in the crypto space. We're getting Wolverine, we're getting Spider-Man suit, but we don't really see like massive new brand announcements and so on. I mean, we have the Ubisoft one which we already had also. So this is coming up now. We don't know when the Assassin's Creed is coming up. But I think they are bridging time to get into this rolling crypto market, to heat up into the crypto market that's about to go nuts in the future. Um, I was referring to the Evermind YouTube discussion. Oh, okay. I thought the crowd. Okay. Oh, if so, the YouTube discussion was boring. Well, I will see. I will see. I will still watch it. Maybe, hopefully, I can find something in there which is interesting. NFT Hero says, when do you think we will see the Weverse? End of the year. I would say end of the year. When altcoins are hot and attention flows shifts to metaverse narrative. Actually, these days, in also in the radio, I heard a little bit about Facebook Meta spending and like earnings report and so on, and I saw that they're still allocating billions to the metaverse section. So they say, okay, AI is the hottest stuff, so they are allocating more to AI in social media, but they're also allocating still to the whole thing with metaverse and so on. So this could be, yeah, I think it might have a comeback in a bigger way, maybe in a different way, just as DeFi had a comeback in throughout the bull run. But we will see. I would say, like, I mean, if you would be very honest with yourself and with the market and everything that we know about the crypto cycle, would you launch the Viviverse right now, where you have a like a dip, where you have sentiment still down across the world, inflation issues, people are not ready to spend money, rates are not down, wars going on, people have still uncertainty with crypto, they didn't roll even their profits from Bitcoin into altcoins. Where would you have the profits coming from? Would you really roll out the Viviverse and just burn your biggest news catalyst? I'd say no. I would say no, you wouldn't, right? I would say you go on with your drops and you show that you have the big brands. Like, if you look here, you have Marvel, you have Disney with Pixar, right? Um, you have Marvel Comics, you have Lamborghini, yeah, you have USPS, right? So maybe they could sprinkle in some other brands, something new maybe, but overall, I think it's just a game of time now to stay alive, make money, and to get ready for the big announcements. Um, and I hope that's the case, right? I mean, I cannot be sure. I didn't get any exclusive insights or so, but I think they are playing the long game here. Um, do you think it will change anything? Oh yeah, I think it will. If it's just if it's only decently good, it will be a big catalyst if the into a narrative that's already there. Um, yeah, they will for sure wait for the NFT narrative to come back. Yeah, end of the year, as you said. Yeah, I think that maybe, and I think they'll just stretch out with more beta. But there is a reason. There is a reason that everyone has an NDA and cannot show anything, otherwise they will get punished. And I think the reason for this is just that they don't want to have anything leaked from inside, because that will take away the hype. And then it's like when they announce, it's like, oh, everyone knew already, right? So yeah, but that's basically it for today, guys. Make sure to smash up the like button right now. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Tick the little bell for always getting notified whenever I drop another video or go live. And thanks for the good talk, by the way, Andrew, NFT Hero Energy. What's going on? Good to see you. And yeah, so wherever you are, guys, on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. And yeah, stay onto it. Stay in crypto every day, and we see each other in the next one.